Hello everyone, and welcome to this video titled Order of Operations. So in this video, I'm going to be going through several examples taken from the practice at ck12.org in their Algebra 1 text. So here we are in the practice for order of operations. And I'm just going to start doing, several of these. I'll probably get up to 5 of them. I'm not going to do all 10. I'll leave that for you to do, and of course you can always practice more after 10 is complete. And I would recommend that if I start a new question, a new example, pause the video and try to work it out yourself before seeing how I'm doing it. All right, so in this first question, we're asked to use the order of operations to evaluate the following expression. And we have 2 plus 7 times 11 minus 12 divided by 3. So I'll bring up the scratch pad here, or write this expression out. All right, so the expression was 2 plus 7 times 11 minus 12 divided by 3. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. Yes, that is correct. All right. So what is the order of operations when it comes to simplifying expressions? So the order of operations. Now the order you should perform things in, the order that you should do your operations in is first anything that's in grouping symbols, right? So sometimes they'll just say parentheses, right? Parentheses, anything in a grouping symbol, parentheses or brackets, anything like that. You go inside those and kind of start over. You start the order of operations over again once you're inside those. All right, then the next thing you should be simplifying anything with an exponent on it. All right, anything with exponents. So, raise the powers. For example, like if I had 2 to the 3rd power, right? That'd be 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. See, stuff like that. Now, third is you do multiplication. So you multiply or divide, and you do this from left to right. You do it from left to right as you see it happening. So you multiply, if you see, if you're going left to right in the expression, you see a multiplication operation, you do that. You see a division operation, you do that. You do it in the order that you see it as you go from left to right. And then finally, add or subtract from left to right. So as you go from left to right, and again, I'll do the left to right arrow here, right? Add or subtract from left to right. After you've done, your multiplication and division from left to right, then you go through and do addition and subtraction from left to right. Now, you may have seen this before. You may have seen this with the acronym, PEMDAS. It's I've heard an acronym for a little mnemonic for this saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or something like that. Something to remember. Parentheses or grouping symbols, go inside those, and once you're inside them, you start over. Are there any parentheses inside that? You keep going in until you aren't, you're in the innermost parentheses. And then your exponents, right? Anything with an exponent on it, simplify that. Then multiplication, division from left to right, addition, subtraction from left to right. Okay, so here in this question, yeah, there are no parentheses, there are no grouping symbols here. So then I move on to anything with exponents, right? And then again, looking at this, I'm not seeing any number with an power on it or an exponent. So next I'll go through and from left to right, as we see it happening, do multiplication or division. So the first thing I see, 2 plus 7, that's addition. So I'm not doing that. First thing I'm going to do here is this, 7 times 11. That's multiplication. So we got 2 plus, and then we're performing this operation, 7 times 11 is 77. And then we still have the rest of it, right? Haven't done anything to the rest of the expression. So minus 12 divided by 3. And then once again, keep going left to right here. The next thing I am doing in the order of operations, the next important thing is the division. We have 2 plus 77 minus 12, and then you're seeing 12 divided by 3. I'm going to perform that next. All right, so everything else stays the same. We got 2 plus 77 minus, all right, minus, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4. And now I'm done with the multiplication and division from left to right. Then we do addition and subtraction, finally, from left to right. So the first addition I see going from left to right is the 2 plus 77, which would be 79. And then the very final operation would be the subtraction, right? 79 minus 4, or 75, right? So the value of this expression after performing all the operations in the correct order is 75. Right, so up here that would be choice B. Let's check it out. And that is correct. Hooray. All right. All right, so we're going to continue to do this. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to go for 5 of these examples and performing the same operations in the same order every time, just taking very great care to do it in the correct order. All right, so next example. All right, so once again, another expression involving, just numbers. We have 6 plus 6 times little dot for times, right? 6 times 3 divided by 2 minus 7. So once again, let me write this expression out here. So it was 6 plus 6 times 3 divided by 2, and then I believe it was minus 7. Let me just make a quick double check on that. Yes. All right. So once again, I'll write out just the acronym, the letters, PEMDAS. I've also seen GEMS, GEMS, where G stands for grouping symbols, right, like parentheses and brackets. So I'll write that out too. You could use PEMDAS, or I've seen GEMS, right, where again G stands for grouping. Then your E is the same as E in PEMDAS. They're both exponents. M for multiplication and division from left to right. S for subtraction and addition. Addition, subtraction, addition from left to right. Either way, it's representing the same steps in the procedure. All right, so once again, I look at the expression. First thing, there's no parentheses, no brackets, no grouping symbols of any kind. So now I look at left to right, and I'm going to look for exponents. Well, there's nothing being raised to any powers either. The first thing I see that I'm going to be able to do here is in multiplication and division, right? It's 6 plus 6, and then you have 6 times 3. That's going to be done first. So 6 plus, right? The rest of it will stay the same. And then 6 times 3 is 18, right? And then again, the rest of it I'm writing exactly the same, divided by 2 minus 7. And then still looking left to right, there's 6 plus 18, divided by, there's a division. Right, you do multiplication and division from left to right before you do addition and subtraction. So this is now 6 plus, and then 18 divided by 2 is 9. right? And then you have your minus 7. Okay, and then finally, we have addition and subtraction. I'll do the from left to right, 6 plus 9 is 15. And then the last step here is subtraction. 15 minus 7 would be 8. Right, so the value of this expression that was given to us in the beginning would be 8. And that is choice A here. Let's check it out. Great. All right, so moving on. Example 3. Here we go. We're starting to get, more complex things, not just multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, but now we have exponents, and we're simply asked to enter an answer, right? It's not a multiple choice. All right, so I'll write this down here in the scratch pad. So we have 6, raised to the second power. There's an exponent. Times, right, the little X symbol for times, 9, and then plus 3, and then another multiplication symbol, right, times 5, and then finally minus 7. And we'll evaluate this again going through the step of PEMDAS or GEMS. All right, first thing I'm doing then, again, there are no parentheses, no grouping symbols in this. So the first thing I'm going to look for are exponents, and there's an exponent right there, 6 to the second power. Remember what that means, right? That's 6 times 6. So 6 to the second power, that's evaluated to 36. So it's 36 times 9, and then the rest of it I'll write the exact same way it was, right? All right. So now I've evaluated all my exponents, and now I'm looking from left to right and focusing on multiplication or division. All right, so the first thing I see is a multiplication, right? 36 times 9. Now 9 times 30 is 270. 9 times 6 is 54, right? 270 plus 54 would be 324, right? So 324 for that product. And then the rest of it I'll keep the same, right? Plus 3 times 5 minus 7. And then the next operation I'm going to perform is this multiplication, the 3 times the 5, right? We do multiplication, all multiplications and divisions from left to right before any additions and subtractions. So the rest of it stays the same, right? 324 plus, and then the 3 times 5 is 15. And then you have the minus 7. And now left to right, we do addition and subtraction. The first is an addition here, 324 plus 15, that'd be 339. And then we still have the rest of it the same, minus 7. And 339 minus 7 would be 332. All right, so there's the value of the expression we were given initially. This expression has a value of 332. And that's what I'll enter here, and we'll check it out. All right, 332, and great. All right, so again, following the same procedure, the same recipe every single time. All right, next example. All right, so now this does have parentheses in it, but you'll see that each set of parentheses has just a single number in it, so there's nothing more to evaluate in the parentheses. The reason they're having parentheses here is so you know that there's multiplication going on as well, right? When two numbers are touching and one of them is in a set of parentheses, that means multiplication is involved. Also, there's these powers, right, above the parentheses. So that tells you that I need to do the exponents, right? You're raising the powers first and then multiplying, right? Always PEMDAS, GEMS, exponents before multiplication. All right, so again, I'll write out this expression the way they have it. All right, we have 4 times, right? Again, if it's just touching parentheses like that, that's multiplication. 4 times 5 to the second, then plus 6 times 1 to the second. Right, and then doing the order of operations following that same recipe every single time. So again, there are parentheses here, sure, but inside the parentheses, there's only a single value already. So there's nothing to do inside them, right? There's a 5 inside this set of parentheses. There's a 1 inside this set of parentheses, right? So there's nothing more to do in those parentheses. So next I'll move to exponents. All right, so here we have 4 times, we're doing the 5 squared first, right? This 5 in the parentheses is the base on the 2, 5 being squared. So do that first. So this will be 4, and I'll write the dot for times. You can do dot, parentheses, a little X symbol. I'll do the dot for times. And then 5 to the second power is 25. All right, then plus, and then 6 times, and we still have 1 squared, right? I'm just doing one operation at a time and leaving the rest alone. Leaving the rest the way it is. So now I'm going to do the 1 to the second power, right? Here we have 1 to the second power, 1 squared. And that's just 1 times 1, which is 1. So another exponent, we have 4 times 25 plus, and then 6 times, and then 1 squared is 1. All right, so I've evaluated my exponents. Now I move to multiplication and division from left to right. So from left to right, the first multiplication I see is 4 times 25. That would be 100. Plus, and then, 6 times 1. Then the next multiplication or division I see is this 6 times 1. So I have 100 plus, 6 times 1 is 6. And then finally, the only operation left is addition. 100 plus 6, which is 106. Right? And there you go. That's the value of the expression we were given in the beginning. And that's what I will enter, 106, 106. Great. So I'll just do one more of these, right, following the same recipe every time. Here finally, we have an expression where I'm going to have to simplify something in parentheses first, and then perform, the rest of the operations in the proper order. All right, so this expression, I have 2 times, right? You could put a dot and they have it in parentheses though. And then in the parentheses, we have the expression 1 plus 4. And then outside the parentheses, right, this is being squared. All right, so when I'm evaluating this, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going inside the parentheses, right? You go into the parentheses. I think it's IS or ES. I apologize for spelling. But you go into the parentheses and then you kind of start over, right? The parentheses, you have this expression here, right? It's just 1 plus 4. And then you use the order of operations here. Use PEMDAS here or GEMS here. And there aren't 1 plus 4. There aren't parentheses within that. There aren't exponents. There isn't multiplication or division. It's just simply addition. Right? 1 plus 4 is 5. So back in the original expression, this is 2 times, and then 1 plus 4 in the parentheses there is just the number 5, and then that's being squared. So you go into parentheses, you simplify that expression first, and then continuing on with the PEMDAS or the GEMS, I now have an exponent to do. I have this 5 to the second power. So this is 2 times, again, I like doing the dot for times or the little cross for times, or you could put parentheses again, but 5 to the second power, 5 times 5 is, 25. And now I've done my exponents, and next we move on to multiplication or division. The only operation left is multiplication. 2 times 25 is 50. Right, and there you go. This 50 is a single value, right? It's the value of this expression that they gave us after performing the operations in the correct order. So I'm entering 50, checking it out, and great. All right, so that's it for this video. I'm just going to do these 5 examples, but I hope you noticed that, you're You're following this recipe every single time you're evaluating an expression. Are there parentheses or brackets or other kinds of grouping symbols? You go into those grouping symbols and kind of start over. You look at the expression inside the parentheses, and then you start PEMDAS over. Are there any parentheses in that? And if there are, you go inside that and start over, right? You just keep going inside until you found the innermost set of parentheses, and then you work your way out. You simplify that, simplify the one outside, you keep working your way out. And then are there any exponents? Yes, you evaluate the exponents, raise something to the powers, and then multiply and divide from left to right, and then finally adding and subtracting from left to right. Then you should, if you're following that recipe perfectly every single time, get the correct value of the expression every single time. Right. And I hope this helped, right? Again, I'm not doing all 10 here. I'm leaving that to you. Come to ck12.org, Algebra 1, practice this yourself. And even after you're done with the 10 questions, you can continue practicing further if you wish, to really, really master the order of operations. And thank you very much for watching.